Valentine's Day. A time for love, romance, and for some, something far more sinister. Not every love story has a happy ending. Some are cursed, some are haunted, and some never truly end at all. Tonight you'll hear 3 unsettling tales of love turned into something terrifying, stories of obsession, twisted fate, and horrors that lurk beneath the surface of romance. So light a candle, settle in, and remember, some love stories never die. They just wait for you. The roses. The roses arrived at midnight, as they always did. Claire had been receiving them for years, every Valentine's Day, without fail. A dozen red roses perfectly arranged, with a card that bore the same message: "You've always been mine." This year, however, something was different. The bouquet contained 13 roses instead of 12. The extra rose was black, its petals velvety and unnatural. The card, written in the same elegant script, read, "This is the last one." Claire's hands trembled as she held the card. She had tried to ignore the roses for years, dismissing them as a prank or a misguided admirer. But this time, the message felt final, ominous. A chill crept down her spine, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. That night, Claire couldn't sleep. The black rose seemed to glow faintly in the moonlight, its presence unsettling. At exactly midnight, she heard a soft thud at her door. Her heart raced as she opened it to find a single red rose lying on the doorstep, its stem broken. She stepped outside, her breath visible in the cold night air. A trail of rose petals led down the sidewalk, glowing faintly as if lit from within. Against her better judgment, Claire followed them. The trail wound through the empty streets of her town, past darkened houses and flickering streetlights. The further she walked, the heavier the air felt, as if the night itself was pressing down on her. Finally, the petals led her to the iron gates of the old graveyard on the edge of town. The gates creaked open on their own as she approached, the sound echoing in the stillness. Claire hesitated, her instincts screaming at her to turn back. But something she couldn't explain, compelled her to step inside. The graveyard was eerily silent, the moonlight casting long shadows over the headstones. In the center of the cemetery, Claire found a single red rose growing from the ground. It sprouted from the base of a weathered headstone, its surface cracked and moss-covered. She knelt to read the inscription, her heart pounding. The name on the headstone was hers. Claire Bennett, it read. Beloved, taken too soon. The dates below were her birth year and this year. Claire stumbled back, her mind racing, yet before she could process what she'd seen, the ground beneath her feet began to tremble. The rose at the base of the headstone withered and turned black, its petals falling to the ground. A cold wind swept through the graveyard, carrying with it a voice, soft, almost tender, but filled with an unnatural hunger. "You've always been mine," it whispered. Claire turned to run, but the gates slammed shut with a deafening clang. The trail of petals she had followed now glowed brighter, forming a circle around her. The ground beneath her feet began to crack, tendrils of darkness snaking up from the earth. The voice grew louder, more insistent. "I've waited so long for you," it said, Every rose, every gift, every year, it was all for this moment. Claire's breath came in ragged gasps as she tried to escape, but the tendrils of darkness wrapped around her ankles, pulling her toward the headstone. She clawed at the ground, her fingers digging into the dirt, but it was no use. As the earth began to swallow her, Claire's mind flooded with fragmented memories. Images of a man she didn't recognize, his face twisted with obsession. She saw herself in a past life, running from him, screaming for help. She saw his hands around her throat, his voice whispering, "You'll always be mine." The roses hadn't been a gift, they had been a countdown, a reminder of the day he had claimed her in life, and the day he would reclaim her in death. The ground closed over her, the darkness swallowing her whole. The last thing she heard was his voice, soft and triumphant. Forever. By dawn, the graveyard was still, the air heavy with an unnatural silence. The headstone bearing Claire's name stood as it had for decades, though the dates etched into its surface now marked her brief life. At its base, a single red rose bloomed, its petals glistening with dew. In the town, Claire's absence was noticed but never explained. The trail of rose petals had disappeared, as if they had never been. Those who dared to speak of it wondered why the old graveyard gate now seemed to creak louder at night, or why the scent of roses lingered in the air long after Valentine's Day had passed. And so, the cycle continued. Each year, as February drew near, a new bouquet would appear on an unsuspecting doorstep. 13 roses, one black, the others red. For some loves are not bound by time or death, and some promises demand payment, no matter the cost. The dinner date. The restaurant was supposed to be perfect. Candlelit tables, soft jazz playing in the background, and a breathtaking view of the city skyline. Sarah and Mark had been counting down the days to this Valentine's Day dinner. It was their first anniversary, and they wanted everything to be magical. But as soon as they stepped inside, something felt wrong. The air was too still, too heavy, like the room itself was holding its breath. The other diners sat motionless at their tables, their faces pale and expressionless. No one spoke. No one laughed. The only sound was the faint clink of silverware against plates, though no one seemed to be eating. Sarah leaned closer to Mark, her voice barely above a whisper. "This place is creepy." Mark nodded, his eyes scanning the room. "Let's just order and get out of here." They sat down, their unease growing with every passing second. The candles flickered, casting long, wavering shadows on the walls. The silence was deafening. Then the waiter appeared. He moved too smoothly, like he was gliding rather than walking. His smile was wide, too wide, and his eyes gleamed with an unnatural light. He placed 2 plates in front of them, but it wasn't the steak and wine they'd ordered. Sarah's plate held a slab of raw meat, glistening and dripping with blood. Mark's plate was worse, a pile of dark, writhing shapes that pulsed and squirmed as if alive. Their glasses were filled with a thick, murky liquid that smelled faintly of iron. Sarah gagged, pushing her plate away. "We didn't order this," she said, her voice trembling. The waiter's smile didn't falter. "The special," he said, his voice low and melodic. "For our special guests." Mark stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "We're leaving." But when they turned to go, the door was gone. The walls were smooth and unbroken, the windows covered by heavy curtains that didn't budge no matter how hard Mark pulled. The other diners began to chant, their voices rising in unison. "Love is eternal," they intoned, their eyes fixed on Sarah and Mark. Sarah's heart raced as she grabbed Mark's hand. "What is this? What's going on?" Mark didn't answer. He was staring at the walls, which had begun to move. The room was shrinking, the walls closing in, the ceiling lowering. The candles flickered wildly, their flames casting grotesque, twisting shadows on the walls. The waiter reappeared, his smile now grotesque, his teeth too sharp, his eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. In one hand, he held a knife, its blade glinting in the candlelight. "You'll never be apart again," he said, his voice echoing in the shrinking room. Sarah and Mark backed away, but there was nowhere to go. The walls pressed in, the air growing thick and suffocating. The other diners continued to chant, their voices rising to a deafening crescendo. "Love is eternal. Love is eternal. Love is eternal." As the walls closed in, Sarah noticed something she hadn't seen before, photographs lining the walls. They were old and faded, but she could make out the faces, couples just like them, their expressions frozen in terror. Her stomach dropped. This wasn't just a restaurant. It was a trap, a place where love was twisted into something dark and eternal. The waiter stepped closer, his knife glinting. "You'll be together forever," he said, his voice soft and soothing, as if he were offering a gift. Sarah clung to Mark, her tears mixing with his as the walls pressed in. The last thing she saw was the waiter's smile, too wide, too sharp, as the darkness swallowed them whole. The next morning, the restaurant was gone. In its place was an empty lot, overgrown with weeds and littered with broken glass. No one remembered the restaurant, but the locals whispered about it in hushed tones. They called it the Eternal Table, a place where couples went in but never came out. Every Valentine's Day, a new couple would disappear, their names added to the list of those who had been claimed by the restaurant's twisted tradition. And in the darkness, the chanting continued. "Love is eternal. Love is eternal. Love is eternal." The perfect match. The app promised to find Tom's perfect match, and it delivered. It was called Eternal Hearts, and its tagline was simple yet haunting. "Find the one who completes you." Tom had been skeptical at first. After all, he'd been through months of bad dates, awkward conversations, and cringe-worthy encounters. But desperation has a way of making even the strangest ideas seem reasonable. So, with a sigh and a swipe, Tom downloaded the app. The interface was sleek, almost hypnotic. Profiles popped up one after another, each more generic than the last. But then, he saw her. Her name was Lily. Dark hair, piercing green eyes, and a smile that seemed to reach through the screen. Her bio was simple: "Looking for someone who understands me." Tom felt an instant connection, as if he'd known her all his life. They started talking, and the conversation flowed effortlessly. Lily was charming, witty, and eerily similar to him. She liked the same movies, the same music, even the same obscure hobbies. It was as if she had been tailor-made for him. But then, the cracks began to show. Lily never ate, she never slept, and she seemed to know his every thought. When Tom mentioned a childhood memory, she finished the story for him. When he hesitated over a question, she answered before he could speak. It was unsettling, but Tom brushed it off. After all, wasn't this what he wanted? Someone who truly understood him? They decided to meet in person at a cozy cafe. Tom arrived early, his heart pounding with excitement. The bell above the door chimed, and there she was, Lily. She was even more stunning in person. Her smile lit up the room, and her movements were smooth, almost too smooth. But something was off. Her touch was cold, her hand like ice in his. Her laughter had an unnatural echo, and her eyes seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. Tom tried to ignore it. They talked for hours, but the feeling of unease only grew. Finally, he couldn't hold it in anymore. "Lily," he said, his voice trembling, You're too perfect. It's like you know everything about me." Her smile faltered. "You don't trust me," she whispered, her voice soft but tinged with sadness. Tom shook his head. "It's not that. It's just, I don't understand how this is possible." Lily leaned closer, her eyes locking onto his. "Because we're perfect for each other," she said, her voice low and melodic. Tom tried to break things off the next day, but Lily was always one step ahead. She appeared at his door, her smile gone, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. "You can't leave me," she said, her voice echoing unnaturally. "We're meant to be together." Tom backed away, his heart racing. "What are you?" Lily's smile returned, but it was too wide, too sharp. "I'm your perfect match," she said, "and soon you'll be mine." She reached out, her hand brushing his cheek. Tom felt a cold, tingling sensation spread through his body, as if something was being pulled out of him. Over the next few days, Tom began to change. His memories felt fuzzy, his thoughts scattered. He would look in the mirror and see Lily's face staring back at him. He tried to run, but Lily was always there, her presence growing stronger with each passing day. She began absorbing his memories, his personality, his very essence. "We're becoming one," she whispered, her voice echoing in his mind. "Isn't that what you wanted? To find the one who completes you?" Tom fought back, but it was no use. He could feel himself fading, his identity slipping away. In the end, Tom stood in front of the mirror, his reflection staring back at him. It wasn't his face anymore. It was Lily's. "We're perfect for each other," she whispered, her voice now his own. Tom tried to scream, but no sound came out. He was gone, his essence absorbed, his body now a vessel for Lily. And in the darkness, the app continued to glow, its tagline flashing on the screen. "Find the one who completes you. Love these twisted Valentine stories? Don't ghost us. Smash that like button and subscribe for more chills and thrills. Hit the bell so you never miss a scare.